What is up, guys? Lunatics back here on track. I'm just standing here in the shadows, lurking. Massive lurker. No, but really I just wanted to show off my new tier 30 gloves. And yeah, guys, they glow in the dark. Alright, they do glow in the dark and I'm loving it. So anyways, yes, I don't have a 2-piece yet, but yeah, luckily I think I'm saying this like 20 times during this video. I do apologize for that, but luckily I still have my 4 sets. I will go into details in this video of what you want to do with your old tier set when you get pieces of the new one. I will also talk about some of the Mythic Plus trinkets, my try at them and like my take on what they're good for and what to do if you don't have one, or if they're dropping and if you don't know exactly what to take. Well, in general, raid trinkets are the best this season. But yeah, I will talk more about that in a video. I will also show you some stuff about the gear progression I've been able to make this since the reset this week, this Wednesday, and talk about and show a little bit of the difference in DPS. Now, as soon as 10.1 hit the week before, we actually were able to go into Season 2. My AoE with the new talent differences and changes was around 200k, 210, 215. Quite substantially nerfed from what was current in the last season. And single target around 64k topping when I was like min-maxing as much as I could with around 66k. But I will show that as well here, talk a little bit about the differences and try to show a better rotation of the single target raid spec than I did in my raid spec video, which was kind of embarrassing. But I hope you were able to gain something from it anyways. But yeah, this is basically me, progress report. I haven't recorded any Mythic Plus videos or footage from the raid just yet, because I've been focusing on trying to gear up as much as I possibly could to prepare and be as good as I can for our raiding in the new raid, Embers. We were able to kill all the normal bosses, including Sarkareth, on the first night, and then before our raid time ended, which was 2 hours each time we raid, we also went in and killed the first boss on Heroic. So yeah, tonight we're gonna go straight back into Heroic and see how far we can get, and then on Monday I do think we're gonna go straight into Mythic and kill at least the first boss for the loot. Because we're not a world first race, world first guild, so damn, though those guys, I've never seen a world first race before, and I'm like, holy crap, the organization that goes into that. Like, I get it now. Damn, that's like min-maxing to a whole nother level. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, I'm just basically going to show like some differences. Give an example with my training dummy sessions of how much of a difference that actually makes on the dummies, and yeah, I hope you enjoy, and I do hope I can do some form of Mythic Plus at least video for you guys this weekend, but we will see. It depends like how it goes, but probably, because if all goes to plan, meaning I get another piece from my old new tier or a trinket or something, we will see. But yeah, I hope I can start doing Mythic Plus 16 this weekend. Still mostly pugging, so it's a little bit harder, everybody has to learn. I have to learn new dungeons and stuff too, and sometimes you have to just be patient, nice, and educate or motivate. That makes a massive difference. I was in a VOrtex Pinnacle. The dragon boss seems to be a trouble spot for everyone. In case you didn't know, the dragon boss in VOrtex Pinnacle with the wind, if you stand downwind meaning on the wrong side of the boss. You will be taking, not only will you cast slower, you are also taking a ticking dot damage debuff. So first reason, which should always be the first reason, to not be downwind of the dragon boss is because you will probably die. And a dead DPS doesn't do any damage. And if you do the correct thing and you go and stand upwind, you are first of all not taking that damage, which is good, and your healer will thank you. But you're also getting a massive haste buff, and the higher you go in the keys, you are going to need that haste buff, because otherwise you're gonna die, or you know, out of the damage taken from small mistakes here and there, or your healer's gonna go out of mana before you can actually get the boss down. The boss has a ridiculous amount of health, so you need to have the haste buff at all times. The special ability of that, now this is me just talking, so I hope you've been in there and seen the thing, otherwise I hope you think about this when you go inside. But the boss has a special ability where he puts a circle on the ground. Obviously don't stand in the circle, but when it pulses, you see this white ring expand on the floor. You don't want to get hit by that, because you're probably gonna die. So the thing is, you go into the smaller tornadoes to get shot up in the air, so that when the ring passes, yes, you will take a little bit of damage, but when the ring passes, you will be above it, so you won't take the damage from the ring. And the ring hurts a lot more than the small tornado. It does line up sometimes, quite often actually, with the change of the wind. This is another thing you have to pay attention to, because during the fight the wind will change, so you're gonna have to move around if you are gonna be upwind from the boss and get your haste buff and not take extra damage. Right, so you're gonna have to move around, and the only thing that makes that harder is that the boss sometimes does a breath. But that's basically it. And if you get a change of the wind and the special ability straight after, if you are then downwind because the wind changed and the special ability comes, don't stand in the downwind until you can pass the special ability. That's the wrong thing to do. That's too much time taking unnecessary damage. And the ring thing, it gets put down, and then after like 2 seconds or something, then it pulses, and the pulse is slow. So what you want to do in that scenario is, first of all, don't panic. Prioritize getting upwind. Okay. So you prioritize getting upwind, and as soon as you're upwind, you have done one, even if you can't DPS because you have to dodge the special ability at that point, at least you are not taking extra damage, right? So you will probably live. So do that. Prioritize the upwind thing and dodge the special ability with the small tornadoes, and dodge the breath. Otherwise it's just pump your heart out. And healers, if there are any healers even watching this, which I doubt, but healers need to do the same thing. Everyone needs to do the same thing. And if the healer is not upwind, they will not be able to keep up with the damage taken, and you will just wipe. Yeah, I've had some wipes in there. But I was in a run, everything was going smoothly until you hit that boss. That's honestly the hardest part of the dungeon in my opinion. Or the biggest chance of breaking the key would be right there on the dragon boss. Fine, okay, like the last boss can be tricky, but that one is just easy. As soon as the ad spawns, nuke it. Everyone switch to the ad. Like, forget about the boss, kill the ad, and jump before the electric ability goes off, so that you are in the air, because what it does, it pulsates electric damage or nature damage. Is probably nature damage, but it pulses this damage on the ground, but only on the surface. So the mechanic is you jump and you are not touching the surface anymore, and you don't take that damage. Also, if you take that damage and live, you are very much slowed, and you're gonna need, if you can't remove that slow for yourself or have somebody in your team do it for you, if you should fail that mechanic, which, you know, happens, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble, because usually he does this extra ability, this special ability right after, where he puts the triangle on the ground and then he does his AoE thing. And if you are not inside of that triangle when the AoE goes off, you are insta-dead. You are just gone. Alright, I didn't mean to go straight into that. But yeah, sorry. Alright, let's take a quick look at some of my gear upgrades so far since the Season 2 start. Nothing spectacular. I have been extremely lucky though when it comes to trinkets. I was kind of lucky with the other gear as well. Now I did get my first tier 30 piece, the gloves, and I was saving worm crests just in case that would happen. So this was a drop on normal, was able to push it up to 8 out of 8 champion, which is the same as 4 out of 8 if you get the drop from heroic. And note, when you do push it up to be 5 out of 8 and up from the normal, you get the heroic appearance, which I have to say I do really like. I did get another head from first boss, I believe, not a tier head obviously, because that drops later in the raid. I'm not using it right now though, because I am still using my 4 piece from the old raid. So as soon as I get another tier piece from the new one, so that I can have the 2 piece from the last season and the 2 piece from this one, I am going to switch my head to the new head that I got. Because that way I can keep in line with the tier piece stuff. So I do believe I say this in the next clip as well, but the gist of it is you want to keep your 4 piece from the old raid until you can change for the new 2 piece. So basically, don't break your old 4 piece until you can replace it with the new 2 piece from this one. So you will go from 4 piece tier 29. Next step is 2 piece from tier 29 and 2 piece from the new set. And then you don't want to break your 2 piece from the old set until you can replace it with the 4 piece from the new one. I hope that wasn't confusing. Other than that, I got a offhand from Mythic Plus. This is the best one I can have now, because I'm focusing all of my crafting towards my boots, my main hand, and the belt that I'm going to craft. I'm going to craft the Lifebound belt as soon as I get my second Spark of Shadowflame, and then I will replace these wrists with something from Mythic Plus, most probably. But yes, I was very lucky with the trinkets. I got 3 already. I do have this ring, which is very nice. I think this is the best ring that can drop from Mythic Plus this season. So unless you are goated like me, I'm just joking. But these ones are better. So I will probably never use this one. But if you don't have 2 crafted rings, this is a good one. If you don't already have like the Diurna ring, which is also very good from Vault of the Incarnates if you have it at a high item level. But yeah, so if basically I got the Iridius Fragment first, which is great. This is what many people say is best in slot. I would say it would be situational. It's a little bit about playstyle and taste and how you like to play the game. This one is obviously very good. It's not that. It is very, very good. It's one of the best ones that you can have. Raid trinkets are better than all Mythic Plus trinkets in general. But with this one, it's pretty neat. It is very much a burst trinket. So first of all, it gives you a lot of mastery, which we love. And then when you use it, you gain the Titan's crumbling power, increasing your intellect but by a lot. Right, but it's reduced each time you use an ability, and it lasts for 20 seconds. So it's very much a burst thing. You wanna prioritize using spenders when you have this. So optimally, and you see there's a 3-minute cooldown. Right, so what you wanna do is you wanna create a macro for yourself if you have this one. Like I have here, I used to have it in this slot, which is slot number 13, right? Use 13. So I have my Incarn slash Celestial Alignment macro here, which is what I use. So I use Incarnation, I use my Racial because I'm a troll, so I use my Berserking at the same time. And I use my trinkets, so that's where I had this, right? So then you would pool AP, unless, well, at least if you're long into the fight, because otherwise you would just pop everything at the start, like we do now. But like, you really want to prioritize using spenders, because this intellect buff goes down every time you use a spell. I don't know by how much, but you know, it goes down. Shares the same cooldown as the Incarnation, which is also 3 minutes, so you get a really nice burst window. Now the second trinket I got after that was this thing, which is seeming and doing better than the Furious Rage Feather in combination, simply because it has a lot more intellect. Now I haven't upgraded this one. You see, I upgraded this one as well to 8 out of 8 as soon as I could. Which wasn't really a mistake per se, because it did help me a lot and it gave me a lot more burst potential and it increased my mastery by tons, so it did do well. But I quit both. I sold my Furious Rage Feather, which was kind of cringe, because then I had to use trinkets, which isn't the best thing. You really don't want to do that, because as soon as you use one trinket you get a cooldown of the next. So this one I bound in another macro to my Fury of Elune, because it has a shorter cooldown, so it's easier to just like use it when you can. So I use my Fury of Elune every 20 seconds, so like I'm losing very minimal amount of time from this. And it's also not like a super big deal. I mean, yes, it does a little bit of damage, it does contribute to Waning Twilight, but it only hits the target you are targeting. So in AoE, it doesn't spread to everything, it's just one target and it's for a short period of time. It's mostly for the intellect, so if it has a lot more intellect than what you already have, just take it. But yes, there is a cooldown, so you would put up your dot, right? Moonfire, Sunfire, pop Incarnation, which would pop this, and then popping Fury of Elune. But because of the internal cooldown of the trinkets, when I did do that on a pull with those two trinkets combined, this trinket would not trigger because of the internal cooldown. That was a bummer. I was like, man, I really screwed that up. But then I got really lucky and I got Naraxa's Spiked Tongue, which is another very good mastery trinket. This one, I have to say, like for Mythic Plus, this is definitely better. It does have an equip effect, so it's nothing you actually have to use. It also has a lot of mastery. Now this is also 5 out of 8. Because yes, I did already like spend and overcap myself on the Worm's Crest, so I got kind of set back by that, but no biggie. I did some sims, I've done some testing in dungeons and on dummies, and first simming the Naraxa Spike Tongue together with Iridius Fragment, it was around 3 to 400 DPS increase, and then I simmed Naraxa Spike Tongue together with Rot Crusted Voodoo Doll, and it was a 900 to 1100 DPS increase, so this is why I chose to equip these two. Now Naraxa Spike Tongue does proc on everything you are doing damage to, which means that it's extremely good in AoE. It's also not on any cooldown, at least not like on a cooldown like this, 3 minutes for a burst window, right? This one is just always there. I would probably say this one is also... I'm not sure, right? But bear with me, I'm cooking here. This one might be better for pure single target, it might be. Due to the burst potential and the fact that, well, this one scales beautifully on multiple targets. And, you know, this one is like... It's okay, but you know what I mean. However, I like this better. First of all, I don't have to worry about the internal on-use trinket cooldown. So that's what I'm running with. It does give me better damage in any case overall, so it's not that big of a deal. I'm still keeping the use 13 on my macro, but it doesn't matter. Like, this is on my 13s, but it doesn't break the macro, and if I ever chose to change for something else, it'll just work. I don't have to go in and change my macro after the fact. Another thing which is very useful for Boomkins that you might want to do yourself is a macro for the solar beam. Very simple. It's just /stop casting /cast solar beam, right? Because most of the time it's, especially now, like, well, you're doing Mythic Plus and there's interrupts that have to be made, but you're spamming Starfire, right? And that's a 1.7 second cast, so you might be a little bit too slow, right? So this one, when I press my macro here for Solar Beam, I just stop whatever I'm doing, I cast Solar Beam. Instantly, bam! I don't have to like do the Fire Mage moving type thing, you know? It's like I just have stop casting. Easy peasy. Another macro which is very useful that I use a lot is this Moonfire one. You know, you can pause and copy this exactly like it says here. Basically, it allows me to put Moonfire on nameplates that I am highlighting. I don't have to change target, which is very useful. I do have a same one for Sunfire, but I don't see how that's really useful, because what I do most of the time is I put up all of my Moonfires first, and then at that point, most of the time it's just at that point when every mob is in the same place, and then I press Sunfire, right? And at that point I already chose which target I'm gonna have as my main target, so it's not a big of a deal. I'm not using that right now. What else? We have an innervate macro here. Basically, all I have to do is put my mouse on the healer or on the nameplate of the healer. I don't have to click. I just put my mouse over them or over the grid. I'm using grid 2, and then use my innervate, and it'll give it to them instantly. I don't have to change target, nothing. And the rebirth, the combat res, same thing. This is very useful. So pause and copy if you like. And what else? Yeah, no, that's basically it. So let's get straight into the casting. Alright, so the other tests I've been doing has been with buffs, so now I'm running with the Howling Rune, Vial of Tepid Versatility, because it's good for progress, it gives you some survivability. Well fed and Mark of the Wild, that's all I can do. Let's see if I am able to pull this off now. Keeping track of your Star Lord here is actually pretty important. I was underestimating that before, but like if you're getting at the end of your Star Lord here, you wanna pool some astral power so you can go back into a higher stack of it, because it gives you that nice haste buff, right? So like if you can renew your dots just at the end of a cast, like here, Sunfire. That's definitely one of the more optimal ways to do it, because then you can focus on what you need to do when you need to do it. Noticeably, it's not a massive difference here. It's also a little bit of RNG, I don't know. I'm like low rolling here. Generally I'm around 70. I'm gonna give it a little bit more time to see if I can get it up there. Like the procs and the crits and the frickin' denizen. Oh, I love you. Okay. Renew. And I haven't received massive upgrades to my gear, but I have some, at least. One thing is for sure, with these trinkets it's way more stable in Mythic Plus than using the Iridius Fragment, I find. And I like stability. We have Incarnation. Then we're just gonna push those Starfires out. Yeah, I'm definitely low rolling here. I don't know. I have to say I have no idea why. I think it's the crits and the procs I'm being unlucky with. Because I've tried this multiple times on the dummy even. And yeah, it's like easy to keep myself above 70k. And on my burst windows with Celestial Alignment, I am pushing 80k on the dummy. I have no idea why I have to work so hard. Oh, that was pretty good timing though. Yeah, okay, there we go. It's very much about timing. Like the difference between doing good damage and bad damage is so much about timing. The rest is RNG. I do this and this because double eclipse, going into eclipse 2 times is still worth it if you are still rocking the 4 set from the old tier. Even though it's nerfed, it's still worth it. I wouldn't break my 4 set from last tier until you have the 2 set from the new tier. If you only have 1 tier piece from the new tier, then you should not break your 4 piece. So the optimal thing seems to be staying in your 4 piece on tier 29, Vault of Incarnates, until you have your 2 piece from the new one. Then you will go 2 piece from Vault of Incarnates, and you will go 2 piece from the new one, and then you just work up for your 4 piece, right? But that's also another thing, like don't break your 2 piece from the old set until you have the 4 piece. So you will basically equip your 2 piece of the new tier when you have it. Or like in my case, I have 4 piece and 1 piece, 1 item from the new tier. Just because I had all 5 from the early one. But yeah. Sorry for being a little bit confusing, but it's basically 4 piece from old tier, and next step would be 2 piece from old tier, 2 piece from new tier, and the next step after that is the 4 piece from the new tier. So don't break your old 2 piece or 4 piece unless you can replace it with a new one, basically. No, I am low rolling here, but as you can see I'm doing like the spamming I'm doing here, and like with the gear I had before the raid and all of that, before these 2 days I would be at 64 k DPS instead. Now I'm hovering just below 70k. So that's quite an improvement, even though I am low rolling. Now I'm gonna start to pull some AP because I'm running out of Starlord. There we go. And then I was very lucky with that, because I didn't pay attention. And I remove 1 dot. Do it again. So you wanna like renew your dots obviously before they run out. That's prior number 1. And you wanna spend your cooldowns as soon as you can. But there is like a margin of error. Like there is a world where you can do it a little bit too soon, and it's gonna screw up your rotation a little bit, and that will reflect on your damage, obviously. So let's just go. And as soon as I started recording this video, I got a hailstorm outside. Pretty interesting. Some fire. Woo! Now my timing would be a little bit different if I was in a proper raid fight, because in a proper raid fight I would not be this close to the target, so I would probably not push it as... Like I'm pushing my timings on the dots here, but it's just because I know that I am close. And even though Star Surge is one of those spells that flies away really fast, if your Star Surge hits when the dot has already passed, that's obviously not a good thing. But yeah, alright. I've never been this low on the DPS with this gear, so I don't know. Maybe it's me. But in any case, this is how it would look more or less on a single target fight. Star Search, no surprise to anyone. 132k, yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Maximum. I mean, I'm low rolling like crazy. I've had a lot higher than this, like 160k on the crits. The Wrath, we did have a Wrath change when this patch hit. So basically spamming Wrath is just like very bad. The only time you want to do that is either when you're trying to go into lunar eclipse because you're gonna AoE, or when you are in solar eclipse. Corrosive Slime is doing a lot better than Rancid Claw here. Well, not a lot, but a little bit. Mind you, this is single target, so it's obviously gonna look a little bit different. This is the other trinket I have. I mean, yeah, it contributes a little bit of damage, but most of all it gives me a lot of intellect, and while it is up it does contribute to Waning Twilight. It's not like a Waning Twilight proccing trinket by any case like Furious Rage Feather was, simply because this is only going on the target you are targeting and you have it once every 2 minutes, so you know, it's nice with a little bit of damage, but I have it now simply because it gives me a lot more intellect than the other trinkets I had available. If I would get the trinket from the raid, I would switch this one out immediately. Alright, let's try some AoE. Going into my AoE build. This is the build I would use in every fight where there are packs of elves that need to die fast. I use this one in Sarkareth specifically because there are ads spawning during the last phase that need to die really fast. There are some other bosses where that is the case as well, and then if you're going the single target build you don't have Starfall, so you're kinda screwed, and that's not good for anyone. But I've been running this with the gear I have now in Mythic Plus. It does seem to be pretty good, especially now on the weeks where we have Tyrannical, because it gives you more boss damage. But it seems pretty good. Okay, let's see if I'm low rolling here as well. Yeah, okay. Accidentally pressed Star Search there. Pooling AP. I would say let your rattle run out if you're pulling AP because your Star Lord is about to go out. But if you're not close to your Star Lord running out, renew your rattle. Like now. I'll do it again. Now I'm gonna start pulling. This is still to renew. I'll renew again. I'll renew again, just because I'm already in a pulsar, so I'm having insane astral power generation. Pump up Starlord to 3. Renew rattle. Pool. Renew Starlord. Rattle. Don't overcap. Now I'm pooling and going into pulsar. Refreshing my Starlord again, because I really want to have haste in the pulsar. Okay, don't overcap. There I did a mistake. Now we're trying to get our Starlord up. Rattle. Another one. Okay, now we're gonna pull. And renew the Star-Lord again. There we go. We're gonna go into Pulsar, so I'm gonna go as close as I can. Okay, that was a bit too close. Ideally, I wouldn't have lost my Rattle there. Okay, renew the Eclipse. Was also a little bit too quick on that. Actually, I'm gonna do this because I have a Fury of a Loon, which is gonna give me massive amounts of AP. And I have my Incarn ready. So I'm gonna wait for my Star-Lord here. Oh, and I Pulsar. Okay, we go Incarn, use, straight into Pulsar. Now we have Incarnation for 40 seconds. Now we're just gonna pray that we don't lose our 3 stacks of Star-Lord too often. That was a good timing with both the Rattle and the Star-Lord. We're gonna use Fury of a Loon. We still have a really good sustained AoE. Okay, there we go. And now we're going to do 2 rats and then go into Pulsar. And we overcapped a little bit, but that's fine because we get our Star-Lord back. And now we're gonna cast Wrath. Go into Eclipse. I'm gonna use this again. Oh, Moon proc. That is something I need to check. I'm missing that on this week aura. I don't know exactly where I'm at the orbital breaker, which would be the next level of degeneracy and min-maxing. Like checking with all this, where is my orbital breaker? Because obviously you get 40 AP from that thing. But now I'm starting to get my rotation down better. Just because I said that I made this slight mistake. Okay, we're gonna pop this thing. And go into 3 Star-Lord here. And we're gonna overcap a little bit, that's fine. I value the Star-Lord very, very much. This is gonna be interesting. And we have a Pulsar coming, so I'm not gonna care too much. We go straight into that. We get a Moon, beautiful. Renewing our Rattle. We are gonna go into Eclipse, put Fury of a Loon up, and then we're gonna renew our Star-Lord again. We get another Moon. I don't know, maybe I would actually play worse if I knew where my orbital breaker is. There's only so much I can keep track of. But yeah, you get the idea.